Riley had never seen her mother cry like that. Not on TV, not in real life, not even at her lowest moments. But that night, in front of thousands of fans watching live, Kandi Burruss broke down in tears. And all because of one thing, a secret Riley thought she could keep forever. Riley had always known her mother was protective. Kandi wasn't just a regular mom, she was a public figure, a successful woman, someone who built an empire while raising her daughter in front of the world. Riley respected that, but sometimes, it felt like living under a microscope. Every move she made was judged, every word she said had weight, and every decision was met with either approval or silent disappointment. So when Riley started liking a boy at school, a quiet, thoughtful guy named Jaden, she kept it to herself. Not because she was ashamed, but because she was scared. Scared of what her mom would say. Scared of losing that tiny piece of freedom she had. Jaden wasn't from a fancy background. He didn't have a last name that turned heads, and he definitely didn't come from money. But he made Riley laugh. He listened. He treated her like a person, not a celebrity's daughter. That meant something. So they started hanging out after school. A coffee shop here. A walk in the park there. And before she knew it, Riley was smiling more than she had in months. Her grades stayed up, her responsibilities at home were handled, and she was happier than she'd been in a long time. But she said nothing to her mom. The secrecy became a routine. She'd delete texts, keep her phone on silent, and make sure to never mention his name around Kandi. When she'd get home, she'd smile like nothing happened. And Kandi, always rushing between studio sessions, production meetings, and public appearances, would just ask the usual, "How was school?" Riley's "it was fine" became so normal, Kandi didn't push. That made it easier and harder. Because while Riley didn't want to lie, the silence felt safer than the truth. One afternoon, Riley sat on the couch scrolling through her phone. Her heart skipped when Jaden texted, "Miss you already." She smiled and replied quickly, glancing around to make sure no one saw. That was the kind of moment she lived for lately. Those little texts. The stolen moments. The safe bubble that felt completely hers. But the cracks were starting to show. It began with little things. Kandi noticing Riley on her phone more than usual. Seeing her sneak a smile during dinner. Catching her giggling alone in her room. She didn't say anything, but she noticed. Then one day, during a lunch meeting, one of Kandi's friends mentioned, saw Riley with some boy outside the bookstore the other day. Cute kid. Is she dating? Kandi laughed it off, a nervous, forced laugh, and quickly changed the subject. But the seed had been planted. Back home, Kandi started watching Riley more closely. Not because she didn't trust her, but because something in her gut told her something had changed. She started asking more questions. Where are you going? Who are you texting? Riley, already prepared for this, always had a smooth answer. Group project, she'd say. Or, just Maya, referring to her best friend. Kandi tried to believe her. Tried to tell herself it was normal teen stuff. But deep down, she felt something slipping. One night, Riley came home later than usual. Her cheeks were flushed, her smile wide. Kandi noticed. "You look happy," she said, raising an eyebrow. Riley shrugged, mumbling, "Just a good day." She rushed upstairs before Kandi could ask more. Kandi sat in silence for a moment, staring at the staircase. She didn't want to be that mom. The one who pried, who snooped, who turned every teen emotion into a lecture. But something was off. The final straw came a week later. Riley had just posted a selfie, nothing too revealing, just her in a hoodie, sitting in the park. The caption was a simple heart emoji. Within minutes, a random user commented, "Jaden's lucky AF eyes." Kandi saw it while scrolling through her feed. Her heart sank. Who was Jaden? She didn't ask Riley right away. Instead, she started piecing things together, the sudden moods, the comments, the phone habits. She even asked Maya, casually, if Riley had been seeing someone. Maya, caught off guard, said she wasn't sure. That's when Kandi knew for sure. Her daughter was hiding something big. That weekend, Kandi planned to talk to Riley. But before she could, the live event happened. It was meant to be quick, a short Q&A with fans before a new music drop. Kandi went live from her living room, smiling, talking about her schedule, answering light questions. Riley was upstairs, unaware. And then, it happened. A comment popped up. "So Riley and her BF Jaden are still together?" Kandi froze mid-sentence. Thousands were watching. The chat exploded. "She has a BF? OMG, did Kandi just see that? Sis, the tea is hot tonight." Kandi tried to keep it together. She laughed it off, moved on, but the chat wouldn't stop. Comment after comment, meme after meme. Her smile faded. Her voice cracked. And then, her eyes welled up. She ended the live mid-sentence. Riley, upstairs, didn't know what had just happened. But she was about to find out. Riley came downstairs humming to herself, completely unaware of the storm brewing below. She had just finished texting Jaden, laughing over a silly meme he sent, and her mood was light. But the moment she stepped into the living room, she saw Kandi, sitting still on the couch, phone in hand, eyes red. Riley paused. The smile on her face faded instantly. She knew that look. It wasn't anger. It wasn't disappointing. It was something worse. It was painful. Kandi looked up slowly. Her voice was quiet. "Sit down, Riley." Riley's heart began to race. She obeyed, sitting at the edge of the couch like a child caught sneaking candy. Kandi didn't speak right away. She turned her phone toward Riley. The screen showed the paused live video, frozen on the moment Kandi read the comment aloud. Then slowly she hit play. Riley watched as her mother's face changed in the video, from confusion, to realization, to heartbreak. The moment was brutal. Not because it was loud, but because it was raw. When the video ended, there was a long silence between them. Then Kandi asked softly, "Why didn't you tell me?" Riley didn't know what to say. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She could feel the panic rising in her chest, the pressure to defend herself, to explain. But what could she say? That she was scared? That she didn't want her mom to judge her? That Jaden wasn't from the right world? "I wasn't hiding it to hurt you," she finally whispered. "I just didn't know how to bring it up." Kandi looked away. "You let me find out through strangers on the internet, Riley. On a live stream. In front of thousands of people. Do you know how that felt?" Tears welled up in Riley's eyes. "I didn't mean for it to be like that." "But it was," Kandi said. Her voice cracked. "It was exactly like that." The room went quiet again. The air between them is heavy with things unsaid. Kandi wiped her eyes, stood up and paced the floor. "I know I'm not perfect. I know I've made mistakes. But I've always tried to protect you. I didn't grow up with anyone looking out for me. I had to fight for everything. And now, when I see you making choices without me, keeping things from me, it feels like I failed." Riley stood too. "You didn't fail. You didn't. I thought if I told you about Jaden, you'd try to stop it." Kandi turned sharply. "Why would I stop it if it's healthy? If he treats you right?" Riley hesitated. "Because he's not rich. Because he's not famous. Because he's just normal." Kandi blinked. For a moment, the tension dropped. "You think I care about that?" Riley nodded slightly. "You've always had this big life. You've always wanted the best for me. And I thought if he didn't fit into that picture, you'd tell me to let him go." Kandi sat back down, softer now. "Sweetheart, I want you to be happy. Yes, I want you safe. And yes, I want you with someone who respects you. But I've never wanted your love life to be a business decision." Riley sniffled, sitting again beside her. "Then why does it feel like every part of my life has to be perfect?" Kandi reached out, taking Riley's hand. "Because I know how this world works. Especially for girls like you, in the spotlight. One mistake and they tear you down. I've lived it. And I just wanted to shield you from that. But maybe, in doing so, I made you feel like you couldn't trust me." Riley looked down, ashamed. "I never wanted to lie. I just didn't want you to hurt." Kandi pulled her into a hug. "Too late," she said, half laughing through tears. "I already did. But I'm glad we're here now. Talking. I'd rather cry with you than smile at a lie." They sat there, arms around each other, the space between them slowly healing. Later that night, Kandi posted a short message online. "Mothers aren't always right. But we're always trying. Give your daughters space, but give them your ears too." The post went viral within hours. But Riley didn't care about the likes or shares. She cared that for the first time, her mom saw her not just as a daughter, but as a person. The next day, Kandi asked Riley if she could meet Jaden. Riley froze. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," Kandi said, smiling. "I want to see what makes you smile when I'm not looking." Riley grinned. "Just, don't scare him." Kandi laughed. "No promises." But deep inside, she wasn't just preparing to meet a boy. She was preparing to meet the version of her daughter she hadn't fully known before. And that version? She was proud of her. The next day was filled with nerves for both Riley and Kandi, though neither of them said it aloud. Riley carefully chose her outfit, something casual but cute, and kept checking the mirror as if trying to make sure Jaden would be proud to introduce her. Kandi, on the other hand, paced the kitchen with her arms folded, sipping on tea she hadn't even realized had gone cold. She had met many people in her life, celebrities, CEOs, even presidents, but somehow, the idea of meeting her daughter's first serious boyfriend made her feel more anxious than walking into a $1 million boardroom. Riley stood by the door when Jaden finally arrived. He was tall, soft-spoken, with kind eyes and a nervous smile that made him look younger than he was. He held a small bouquet of flowers, not for Riley, but for Kandi. "Hi, Ms. Burruss," he said, voice steady but polite. "It's really nice to meet you." Kandi blinked, then smiled, slightly surprised. "You brought me flowers?" "Yes, ma'am," he replied. "My mom taught me never to come to someone's house empty-handed." Riley bit back a smile. Kandi took the flowers gently. "Well, your mom raised you right." They sat in the living room, tension hanging in the air like fog, until Kandi finally asked him questions, not with the aggression of a protective parent, but the curiosity of a woman who wanted to know who was holding her daughter's heart. "What do you do, Jaden?" she asked. "I work at a recording studio," he said. "I'm still learning the ropes, but I really love it." Kandi nodded. "Are you into music?" He nodded back. "Yeah, but more behind the scenes. I don't want to be famous. I just want to build something real." There was a pause, and in that moment, something clicked in Kandi's expression. She looked at him differently now. Not as a stranger, but as someone who, like her, understood what it meant to build dreams quietly. Jaden glanced at Riley and then said, "I care about Riley. I really do. And I know people will judge us. I know her life is different. But I don't want anything from her. I just want to stand beside her. Support her. Be there." Kandi listened carefully. "And if the cameras come? If people start posting your pictures online?" "I don't care about all that," he said. "I care about how she laughs when she's tired. How she talks to dogs like they understand her. That's the real stuff." Riley covered her face with her hands, embarrassed but smiling. For the first time in days, Kandi laughed. A real, full laugh. "All right, you might actually be okay." That night, after Jaden left, Riley sat at the kitchen table watching Kandi clean up. "So?" Riley asked cautiously. Kandi looked up, pausing. "He's decent. Nervous as hell. But real. I like him." Riley exhaled like she had been holding her breath for weeks. Then Kandi said, "But if he hurts you, I'll still bury him. No question." Riley grinned. "Fair." But the weight between them had lifted. Not completely. There were still scars from the live stream incident, still conversations they hadn't finished, but something had shifted. Later, as Riley lay in bed scrolling through her phone, she opened a message from Kandi. It was a simple note. "I'm proud of the woman you're becoming. Love you always." Riley stared at the message, eyes filling with quiet tears. She didn't reply with a long text. Just a heart emoji. But it meant everything. Meanwhile, Kandi sat in her room, thinking back over the past 24 hours. She had always feared losing Riley to fame, to pressure, to the world. She never imagined she'd nearly lose her love. She realized now how thin the line was between protection and control. And that sometimes, letting go just a little, is what actually keeps your child close. The next morning, Riley surprised her with breakfast in bed, pancakes with way too much syrup and a side of fruit that was mostly for decoration. Kandi blinked. "What's the occasion?" "No occasion," Riley said. "Just wanted to say thank you. For not shutting me out. For listening." Kandi smiled. "Thank you for letting me back in." They sat there, in pajamas and morning light, eating messy pancakes and laughing about nothing. And for the first time in a long time, things felt simple. Not perfect, but real. Later that week, things felt lighter between Riley and Kandi, but peace has a way of being temporary, especially when the outside world gets involved. A blogger posted a blurry photo of Riley and Jaden leaving a movie theater. It wasn't dramatic, no kissing, no scandal, but the caption read, "Kandi's daughter caught sneaking around? New mystery guy spotted." By the afternoon, the image was everywhere. Tweets, TikToks, reaction videos. Strangers debated Riley's personal life like it was their business. Kandi found out when her phone exploded with notifications. She sat frozen, the screen in her hand, scrolling through hundreds of opinions from people who didn't even know her daughter. Some praised Riley for living her life. Others were cruel, questioning Jaden's intentions, dragging Kandi's parenting, speculating about things that weren't even true. When Riley walked in the door that day, Kandi didn't yell. She didn't lecture. She just handed Riley the phone and said, You're trending again. Riley read through a few comments, her face falling. I didn't even know anyone was watching us. They always are, Kandi whispered. That's the curse of this life. The two sat in silence until Riley asked quietly, do you regret it? Making me grow up in the spotlight. Kandi looked her straight in the eyes. Every day I don't protect you well enough? But I don't regret you, Riley. Not for 1 second. That night, Riley lay awake in her room, phone face down, mind spinning. She knew what came next. More gossip, more assumptions. School would be unbearable. And worst of all, she had just started to feel free, to be herself, to love without shame, and now it felt like she was being punished for it. Across the hall, Kandi sat alone, reading old messages from fans who once called her an inspiration, and new ones calling her a hypocrite. She didn't cry this time. She just felt numb. But when Riley knocked softly and came in, Kandi scooted over, letting her climb into the bed like she used to as a child. I'm scared, Riley whispered. I know, Kandi said, wrapping her arm around her. Me too. Do we just let them win? No, baby. We live louder. We show them what love really looks like. The next day, they posted a picture together, Riley and Kandi, arm in arm, smiling without apology. The caption read, Family first. Always. The reaction was instant. Some comments were kind. Others, not so much. But something different happened too. Messages started flooding in from other young girls, and mothers, saying things like, thank you for showing us how to stand up for each other. I wish my mom had my back like this. You two just helped me feel brave today. Kandi realized something. Maybe her tears in life weren't a weakness. Maybe they were a bridge. That evening, Riley got an invite to a youth panel about social media and mental health. She asked Kandi to come with her. On stage, Riley spoke for the first time about what it felt like to be seen before she was ready. When people saw my mom crying live, they thought it was a drama. But really it was love. And pain. And fear. And all the things moms feel when they want to protect their kids. Kandi reached out, took Riley's hand, and nodded, eyes misty but proud. When the panel ended, a little girl came up to them and said, I told my mom I loved her today. Because of you. And in that moment, both Kandi and Riley knew, this wasn't just about them anymore. Their story, messy and raw and real, had become a lifeline for others. And for the first time, Kandi didn't feel ashamed of crying. She felt powerful. A few months had passed, but the impact of everything was still rippling through both their lives. Riley had become more private, not because she was hiding, but because she was learning how to protect her peace. Her relationship with Jaden had settled into something quiet and steady. No grand displays, no more sneaking. Just walks after school, homework side by side, and soft talks under the stars when they could steal a moment away from the noise of the world. Kandi, on the other hand, had changed in ways even she didn't expect. She still cried sometimes, privately, late at night, when she thought about the world Riley was growing up in. But now, those tears weren't just fear or regret. They were grateful too. Gratitude for the second chance she'd been given. Gratitude that her daughter still chose to come to her, even after everything. One morning, Kandi was invited to speak on a national talk show about parenting in the public eye. She almost said no, afraid her emotions would take over again. But Riley looked at her and said, if you don't tell the truth, someone else will twist it. Be the voice you always wanted for me. So she went. On live TV again. This time, her voice didn't shake. She didn't apologize for crying months ago. She didn't apologize for defending her daughter. Instead, she told the truth. I wasn't upset because Riley had a boyfriend, Kandi said, eyes steady into the camera. I broke down because I realized how much of her I was missing. Not because she hid it, but because I was too busy protecting her image to see the girl behind it. The host leaned in, visibly moved. What changed? Kandi smiled. I did. I learned that love isn't about controlling someone's path. It's about walking it with them even when you're scared. Even when it hurts. Clips from the interview went viral, not the tears this time, but the strength. Parents everywhere reposted her words. Young girls tagged their moms. For the first time, people weren't just watching Kandi. They were listening. Back home, Riley watched the segment from her phone. Jaden sat beside her, squeezing her hand. Your mom's kinda badass, he said with a grin. Riley smiled. Yeah. She's learning. Later that night, Kandi walked into Riley's room with a small gift. It was a framed photo, a candid moment from months ago. Riley leaning into her shoulder backstage at the panel, both of them laughing. Kandi had written one line at the bottom. You taught me how to be brave, just by being you. Riley hugged her mom tightly, eyes brimming with emotion. You know I love you, right? She whispered. I know, Kandi said. And I promise I'll never let the world get in the way of that again. They sat there for a long time, no cameras, no live streams, no drama. Just a mother and daughter rebuilding what fame, fear, and silence had once tried to tear apart. And in that quiet, sacred space, Kandi realized something that changed everything. She hadn't just cried that day because she was hurt. She cried because she almost lost her daughter to the noise. But now Riley is back. And this time, Kandi wasn't letting go. Not ever again.